We are here. Yes, we've got Bob Lefsetz here, and I've been reading your blog and your newsletter for years.
Fantastic.
How long have you been doing it?
Oh, God, I've been doing it since 1986, but online since the year 2000.
Since the year 2000. And what did you do before that? Were you a newspaper
Oh, I
columnist?
did a lot. No, not at all. I did a lot of stuff. I practiced law, mostly in the movie business, but in the music business too. And then I ran the U.S. office of a company called Sanctuary Music. Ironically, our office was right up the street here from Sunset Boulevard, so we could go to the Rainbow every night. And that is, to this day, that is Iron Maiden. But it was Iron Maiden and Wasp. We had a travel agency. That company subsequently went public, subsequently crashed and was sold to Universal, but that was long after my time. And then I started the newsletter.
And you've always loved the music industry, or was something you stumbled into?
Oh, not something I stumbled into. And I'm not sure that anybody really stumbles into the music business. Everybody's so humble in Hollywood. Either you're boasting or, can we use profanity?
Yes,
I wish you
course.
would.
Okay.
I thought you'd never ask.
That horse shit drives me crazy. Everybody says, oh, no, I was just lucky. Luck is an element of success, but you need it really badly. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. Music drove the culture. California was a dream. I very much wanted to move to Los Angeles, and I very much wanted to be in the music business.
Why? What was the first record that made you think, oh my goodness, I found it. This is my life. I'm going to devote my life to this.
Well, you grow up in a house and you're not really sure how the rest of what's going on in everybody else's house. In my house, my mother would always play the show tunes, some classical music, but there was an unlimited amount of money for art, entertainment. Like my father would always say, oh, we don't have a big house on the hill, whatever. We go out for a good meal. So if I want to go to the movies or I want to go to a concert, there was always money. So I remember, the records I had originally were like the Flintstones record, Rough and Ready, if you really go back that far. Most people don't. And then I remember my mother buying Four Seasons' Big Girls Don't Cry. The first record I bought with my own money, which I loved, something called The Martian Hop by the Randells. So I became a fan. I was either listening on my transistor to the baseball game, the Yankees or the Mets, or I was listening to music. Then, of course, the Beatles came along and blew everything apart.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from Fairfield, Connecticut, which is about 50 miles from New York City. The important thing here is that's the New York media market. It's New York television. It's New York radio. I'm not so far out that they're subsidiary stations.
It's part of the tri-state area.
Correct.
It's funny. When I grew up, they didn't call it that.
What they call
Really?
it?
No, they would. It's almost like in New York, they made it like Connecticut didn't exist. They talk about New York, New Jersey, whatever, which in Connecticut we thought New Jersey didn't exist. And subsequent to my exit, they started calling it the tri-state area.
Yeah. And so those records you just mentioned, they weren't rock records. They were just sort of pop records.
Well, now we would call them pop. Of course, rock and roll started long before my time, with Rock Around the Clock, etc., and then it evolved. It was called rock and roll. Today we have a huge bifurcation between rock and pop and hip-hop. But then we sort of saw it as the same thing. Yes, the Beatles were a revolution in that it took it further. We didn't say, this is a difference between rock and hip-hop.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, obviously, many people read your newsletter. It's at lefsetz.com. Spell it for everybody.
As my father would say, because with a name like this, you have to. It's L, E like Edward, F like Frank, S like Sam, E like Edward, T like Tom, Z like Zebra. And if you remember all that, you graduated from Yale.
Well, it's very informative. And, lots of industry heads and the kings of industry and the music industry and movie industry, everybody reads your column. How did everybody find out about it?
Okay, well, what happened was in 1986, when I started it was in print. Didn't go digital till the year 2000.
In print where? In what?
I bought a directory called the Yellow Pages of Rock. The company that put it out, called the Album Network, no longer exists. Never mind the Yellow Pages of Rock. And I sent approximately 3,000 letters to people 3 times. It used to be in print, 6 to 8 letters, and then people would subscribe. The irony being that only the most successful people subscribe. This is something I've been thinking about a lot recently. The person at the top can hear a contrary viewpoint. Below them, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. It's like being in the army, whatever. So I was kind of stunned when only the most successful people subscribed. In the year 2000, I became the expert on Napster. I had, as I said, I went to law school. I didn't practice law in years. But when it comes to the issues, I knew what they were. So I could do that. In addition, my belief is, first and foremost, it must be good writing, good reading. There's a lot of stuff, from corporate stuff to trade stuff to stuff on the bestseller list. It's essentially unreadable.
Yeah.
They're getting the thing, and we live in a world where people think writing is about description, etc. First and foremost, it has to be readable. And I pride myself on good writing. And it's kind of weird to boast, whatever. Yes. The other thing is perseverance. Most people give up. You haven't given up. You continue to be RuPaul. But most people, they work hard and they say, oh, this is too hard, or they go for the easy money. I've continued.
Yes. Why? What is it about what you're saying that you think the guys at the top? I keep saying guys. There are women too. Mostly guys though.
Meaning people.
Yes, people. Yeah. What is it about what you're saying? Do you think they are looking for, or they keep coming back for?
Okay. When it used to be in print, it was always very business focused and tip focused. Let's be clear. In the music business, a tip is usually a radio tip. That's not what I did, meaning what is going to be successful on radio. But it was solely about analysis. Now I'm writing so much, and it's the value of the internet that I cover a lot of topics and I write more frequently. But what hooks people is a combination of two things, primarily analysis. Today, people don't know how to analyze issues. I went to a good college, although it was way too traditional for me. And, the mark of an educated person is someone who can hold two composing thoughts in their brain at the same time. I remember vividly being at a convention in Aspen that I still go to every year, which ironically is more from more the record side to more the touring side, just like the music business itself. But I was talking to Tom Petty. He was in sort of a trough at that point, and he was playing the Fillmore, which is a club. And I was saying, well, what does this mean relative to his career selling this number of tickets as opposed to an arena? And an agent who did not represent him and was one of the most powerful agents in the business said, I'll take that billing any day of the week. The music business is a dumb business. I'm not saying the people in it are dumb, especially the people at the top. But someone who can sift through the issues and see what is important and where it's going, that's what they're reading it me for.
Right. What was the convention you go to in Aspen?
It was called the Aspen Artist Development Conference. Now it's called Aspen Live. And the good thing about this conference, you have to understand, most people are not on this circuit. But in every country, there are these conferences because they get money from the government. We have a couple of these in the United States. Really, the only one of significance at this point is South by Southwest, which is morphed more into a tech conference. But what they do is they get people to come and they get 100 bands to play, thinking they may have success. The one in Aspen has no band, so it's about bonding. Most of my social life is based on people I've met in Aspen because, a lot of people would say, oh, skiing, it's a lark, whatever, but you bond with people when you're doing non-business activities.
Right.
A lot of people hate this. I don't happen to play golf, but the reason they're playing golf is to cement the relationships more than to play golf.
Yeah, yeah. And so when we talk about the guys at the top and the big boys, we're talking about Jimmy Iovine and Clive Davis and all these people. It seems like those people never change. It seems like they're still the ones who are running the music business, or now it's broadened to just it's merchandising, it's touring, it's a full across the gamut. Are there new people in this game?
Well, you're hitting one of my topics. You can never underestimate the power of money. When I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, music drove the culture. You can actually say that music drove the culture almost up to the year 2000 with MTV. If you wanted to know what was going on, you listened to the radio station. They not only played the music, they gave you the news that appealed to you, etc. Then all of a sudden came this tech thing, and people were making more money than anyone could dream of. Okay, U2 went on the road 2 tours before this, the stadium tour. They played for 2.5 years, okay? They had the largest gross of anybody in the music business. I know the people who paid them. The individuals in the band made shy of $50 million.
Each.
Let's call that $20 million a year. That is really good money.
Yeah.
They could not go back on the road for 3 years. When they did, they had to play arenas. They didn't go clean everywhere, which means sells out. That is good money. You read about Mark Zuckerberg and these other tech titans. 20 million is bupkis. I mean, it's like it's absolutely nothing. So the best and the brightest are not going in the music business. In addition, as a result of income inequality, one thing you have to say about millennials who are ragged on all the time is they know the score. They don't want to be at the bottom. Entertainment, people are lining up to work for free in entertainment. Garbage man, that's a totally legitimate role that we need filled in society. People are not lining up to do that. It's a very hard business to stay into. It certainly is,
yeah.
So therefore, the best and the brightest are not going into music for the duality of that's not where the money is, and the music is not driving the culture. The example I would use, and I use all the time, is Jay-Z. You may or may not remember, 3 or 4 years ago, Jay-Z made a deal with Samsung, and they had commercials in the NBA playoffs. And it ultimately was Samsung paid Jay-Z $5 million, and if you had a Samsung phone, you got the app, etc. Jay-Z is doing hosannas. I got $5 million from Samsung. Samsung doesn't give a shit about $5 million at the time, and it's larger. They had $1 billion advertising budget, okay? Not to mention the fact the album ended up stiffing, meaning being unsuccessful, as a result of the limited distribution, and many critical people believe the album wasn't that good. However, if Jay-Z had written an anti-Samsung song, all hell would have broken loose. Mm-hmm. This is, of course, before the phones blew up, whatever, and before anybody really had something against Samsung. That is the power of art, not to suck at the tit. Yes, you can go play a private for $250,000 to $1 million for the corporation. They'll write that check, no problem. They don't care. You're the court jester. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you go online and say the corporation sucks, everybody freaks out.
Yeah.
So what you want to do when you're an artist is speak truth to power. The unfortunate thing, in addition to being an artist, is a lot of the perks have been taken off the table as a result of camera phones and social media. Used to be you could do all kinds of things backstage, no one would ever know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now everybody knows. So as I say, the best and the brightest are not going into music. So to address your concept of age, as there became less money and fewer record companies, there were 6 major companies, there were 3, it solidified the business. It used to be everybody jumped labels every 2 or 3 years. To have a job at a label for 10 years was nearly impossible. But we are going to see a transition because, generally speaking, these are baby boomers and they're too old. A little bit older, this guy, Doug Morris, was tight in the business, just past the reins of Sony Music. You know, he's in his 80s. Okay, he's in his 70s, but he's old. Mm-hmm. Okay, not that, being old is essentially a crime. So the business will be revolutionized. One thing you have to know about the music business, it's a thug business.
Right.
Okay, the joke has always been, if you go into a movie studio, when I'm practicing law, I remember we represented an actor who had profit participation in the second largest movie of the year in 1978. Okay? And it's now years later trying to get and the movie's still in a negative position. So if you think you're owed money in the movie business, you walk in, a guy's in a $4,000 suit, he sits there, he goes through all the paper and explains why you don't make you're not owed any money. Whereas in the music business, you walk in, there's a guy with a gold chain around his neck. He opens up a drawer, he whips out a gun and goes, What money?
Right.
End result is the same. Just to go a little deeper, I've been telling that story for decades. The unfortunate thing now is the people in the music business, the execs, they wear expensive suits now too because they are under the delusion that they're as important as the artists. Now, if you sit there and we put a 7-year-old in front of a sitcom, he can do 5 minutes with prompting. Oh, it wasn't a believable story. I didn't like the story. The acting was bad. Even the people in the business, the most they could say about a hit record is, had a good beat and I could dance to it.
Right.
So the execs should be secondary. The artists should rule. We're in a transition period. The artists are gaining some power now, but not as much as they had in the old days.
Yeah. Do you still buy music?
Well, I don't buy any music because I stream music. Let's go back to the era when that was a big question in the year 2000, etc. The landscape changes. And the strategy employed by the music business was fallacious. The example I always use is if you watch Saturday morning westerns, which no one does anymore, but people of a certain age will remember, the people rob the bank and then they have a town meeting. The town meeting is never, let's get a giant megaphone, put it on top of the bank, and yell, bring the money back, bring the money back. Now, the music business learned this. The movie business has still not learned this, and the television business has not learned this. You have to get ahead of the customer. With streaming, it's the first time they're ahead of the customer. I get email every day, oh, I don't stream because, I have to worry about data charge. What if there's not a signal? They don't know that thousands of tracks, assuming you're paying your subscription, sync to your phone, such that if your phone has juice, you can listen on the top of Mount Everest. Okay? So even the public is slightly behind on streaming. For the first time, that's good. So when you went back to the year 2000 at Napster, I certainly thought it was illegal and it was, or copyright infringement to be technical, which is what it was shut down upon. But what was going on with Napster was unbelievable. There are tracks I loved that I didn't want to buy a whole album to hear, or they'd gone out of print, or live versions. All of this stuff surfaced, which had been kept in vaults forever. I mean, it's funny. In the 70s, the big thing was you might have one live album. Now you can't even put out a live album because all your stuff's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And all that live stuff you were sitting on is worthless. They used to dribble out product. Now anybody with a sensibility has a constant stream of product. So I felt that you had to embrace the new paradigm and you had to see what was going on. This is the most important thing. You have to go on Snapchat. You have to go on Instagram. You don't have to post every day just to understand what's going on.
Aside from the Aspen trip that you take once a year, who do you get to talk to about this stuff?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I thought you were going to ask me a different question, how I knew what I knew. I'm a voracious reader. We do live in an information age, and there's tons of information out there. I would certainly start with the top stuff, which, the right wing is busy desecrating, like the New York Times, the Washington Post. I get the Wall Street Journal, too. You want to read the appropriate trade stuff. Not necessarily the message boards or Reddit unless you want to dig deep into popular opinion. So that's where I find most information. I don't want to look like a pompous ass, but most people have no idea what's going on. So there's a thin layer of people that you can talk to. Let's separate between information and an understanding of business, okay? Yes, you can sit on the phone all day and get gossip, and the entertainment business runs on gossip. Not just because people want it, National Enquirer style, but this is the important stuff. Who's leaving, who's making a deal, etc. Most of that stuff, I don't sit on the phone all day. I don't want to waste because it becomes public information very quickly. But as far as talking to people and knowing what's going on, it's the people running the companies. If you open your ears and stop talking, as I'm talking voraciously right now, people will tell you amazing things. People are lonely. They want to be known. And therefore, if you are interested in them, and it's always little tidbits, which I'm not even going to reveal here because some of it's such inside information, but you know what's going on, and you can't listen to the rabble. Well, I'll tell a story that is public, okay? Just this week, I don't know when this is going to go live, Justin Bieber decided to get off the road.
Right.
So people are saying he needs to live up to his commitments. He needs to live up to his commitments. He made a deal. He's disappointing the little girls. My daughter's going to a Giant Stadium. I bought it for Christmas, blah, 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 blah. Now, these are complicated topics because there are negative things in that, yes, most of the money is on the road. They make you pay your money a year in advance, which never used to happen. Okay.
Who paid their money? You mean
the customer.
I
Customer, you pay $100 for a ticket, and the company sits on that money for a year.
Yeah.
Just to make it crazy, because I was getting into a discussion of this with insiders, but it's also very hard to get an availability at a building. We were talking, like a lot of these, like Adele, they'll book 150 dates, which is oppressive. But what happens is if you don't book those 150 dates, you can't get in the building.
Right.
There are no available, as they say in the music business, avails. But, yes, you talk to the inside sources, which I did, and he was burned out. You push him to the wall. Unless people do this is almost like SEAL training, okay? It's an unending grind.
How much of the tour did he do?
He did 98% of it.
Okay. That's because he was supposed to be here in November, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
He was playing in Giant Stadium, etc. Right. And, China, they wouldn't let him in. But, he's doing the same damn show 150 times. The revenue is astounding.
Yes, it is.
This is not like the old days. The old days, if you go back to the 60s and early 70s, it was an album a year. So you cut the album in a month, they mix it, you go on to promote the record for 3 months. If it's successful, you do 6 months, then you go back to the studio. Now, people were dropping like flies, but it was a different enterprise. You went, people saw you live, you tried to hook them, you're going to come around. Mm-hmm. Now it is purely about the money. Most of these shows are choreographed, akin to the MTV paradigm of decades back, okay? They know exactly what songs they're going to sing. Some acts are literally printed on the laminate. So you're going out almost like a Broadway show,
sure,
but you have to travel incessantly. It sounds glamorous, but you cannot sleep. You take dope to survive, dope to go to sleep, and many people don't survive.
Yeah, many people don't survive. He's an interesting one. Did you see that one coming? Did you, the Justin Bieber
I saw
revolution?
It with Adele, okay? If you have seen Adele, she's put out 3 albums. I saw her after the second album. I didn't bother the third time because I wasn't a huge fan of the third album. She and the U2 show with the screen in the middle of the arena were the 2 best shows I've seen this century. But she is a studio concoction.
Is she?
What I mean by that is what she is selling is the record as opposed to the live experience.
Right, I see.
But and as successful as she is, the big money is going on the road. They booked 150 dates.
She sold out 6 nights in L.A. alone.
Yeah.
I mean, if I told you had to do 2 podcasts a day for the next 75 days, I bet I'll pay you $1 million, you would say yes.
I would say yes.
So would I. Done.
By day 50, you'd be saying, you got to give me a day off. No, you made the deal. It's $1 million. Okay. And you'd be coming here struggling, and you'd be sitting in the same place.
Yeah.
Never mind traveling around. People talk about private jets. I don't care what kind of jet you go in. There is jet lag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure is, yeah.
I mean, it's like...
I would think, though, they would budget that into the tour, that they would
People
know.
are greedy, and they want to strike when it's hot. Okay, if you look at this act, Sam Smith. I was very much a fan of Sam Smith. They give me credit for breaking him. I don't know whether I deserve that or not. But I saw him at somebody's house. I mean, then on the first album, he played arenas. Now, in the old days, we would say, that's way too much. You got to underplay, etc. But who knows when the money, the street is littered with people who only had one hit album.
That's
But
right.
we did promo tours before we even got paid.
Sure. Yeah.
As artists.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, you want to strike with the iron hot, and people don't understand how the business works. Agents who traditionally take 10%, managers who traditionally take 15 to 20, they don't get paid unless you're working.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's the same managers and agents forever. It's the acts that change. So they want to get paid. People say, why did this? Right now, sponsorship is in vogue. But there are a lot of times, certainly back in the 60s, 70s, people wouldn't do sponsorship. And they say, why would you do such a crummy sponsorship? Well, the person telling you to do it, if it's $1 million deal, is going to make $150,000.
Yeah, that's
so it's
true.
very hard for them to say, I don't need $150,000. When my kid going to private school is $45K, my mortgage is $10,000 a month. You should do this.
Right. I want to ask you about that because there was a time in the 60s and 70s and even into the 80s where doing a sponsorship deal was just uncool. It felt like you were selling out. Well, those days are gone. And why did that shift? Why did it become cool for young people to say, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do Coca-Cola or Pepsi or...
I still think it's uncool, okay? But the business at large said recorded music revenue went down, although it's going up a little bit now with streaming. And where the hell are we going to make the money? And when you're an act, let's be clear, the best and the brightest are not acts. Most of these acts, assuming you truly are a musician, let's say you write your own material, this is all you can do. Mm-hmm. You can't even work at the 7-Eleven because you can't show up on time, okay? So you do what people tell you to. It's like if someone's a smart businessman, they're a terrible act, Okay? So they're influenced and they like the money. I make the argument people bond to you most when you don't take the money, and when people stop taking the money, will that be better? But it's a hard slog nonetheless. Music when done right is larger than life, okay? And people identify with you. And the more you look like an outsider, the more you appeal to the audience. So it's a weird thing because the industry at large is saying the public doesn't care. Public doesn't care about sponsorship. Oh, they care, but you just keep feeding us this bullshit.
Right. Now on Sunset Boulevard, in all the advertisements for the albums, they say, find it on Spotify, find it in a streaming service. How are they making money with a streaming service?
Does the
how
artist
can
do
an
a deal?
artist make money?
They must do a deal.
Okay, we got two levels here. One level is on a generalized basis, after music going down in sales for 15 years, revenue did go up 5% as a result of streaming. Now, one thing you have to know about streaming, there's no costs involved. There's no manufacture, shipping, retail, etc. What people don't understand about, let's talk Spotify because that's the big kahuna. The free tier, which pays less, okay, has been proven statistically over and over again to generate subscribers. So when you say you don't want a free tier, you're actually cutting off. It's like dope. You give me a few free joints, yes, I will start buying. At first, Spotify was only free on the desktop and you had to pay on the handset. Then a few years ago, they went to free on the handset, which kind of irked me. But they showed me the statistics. It causes subscription. In addition, most people are talking out of their asses. They've never used this stuff. If you have free on the handset, it's hobbled. You can't pick the track that you want. You might have to listen to the album or playlist, whatever. When it comes to money, okay, they give between 60 and 70% of the revenue to the rights holders. That is publishers, which is the song, who get certainly less than 10%, and the record company. If you are the record company yourself, okay, you get all that money. But if you have a deal with a record company, you're going to get a split. If you're very powerful today, you might be able to get a 50-50. But if you were a historical act before streaming, on $1, you could be making less than 10 cents. So the company is doing well, but you're doing poorly. But the real issue people don't understand is, just like America at large, we live in a world of winners and losers. If you look at Despacito, which is the #1 track of the year, and it broke the record of Gangnam Style on YouTube, they are not complaining about streaming payouts. Some of these people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a week because their tracks are being streamed 400 million times. Where you call me up or you email, because no one calls anymore, and you say, oh, my track, was streamed 10,000 times and I made a nickel. Well, that's because you're not big. Even 1 million doesn't mean anything that much, because most of the money, just like America at large, goes to the winners. And therefore, it's coming back up, and it will equal the old CD revenue at some point. Banks say like 2022 or something, but no one can truly predict the future. But unless you are Beyonce or Jay-Z, chances are, or Ed Sheeran, chances are you're not going to make much money.
When did Spotify surpass Pandora?
Pandora is a different service. Pandora is a radio service where you put down a song and it feeds playlists, and unless you pay a fee, you can only get 3 skips, an hour. So whereas Spotify is about picking and choosing the track. There's different royalty. It gets very complicated.
Sounds like it.
There's different royalty rates for radio, which is Pandora, and for on-demand streaming like Spotify. Just to go crazier, Spotify also has a radio service like Pandora where they pay a lower royalty rate. But to get even crazier than that, what we found out, once you give someone Tower Records at large, they don't know what to listen to.
Right.
So we're in this era where playlists are king.
Right.
Okay. So it's morphing, but it's a different royalty structure. If you're an active listener, you want to have a streaming service, whether it be Amazon, Deezer, Tidal, Spotify, or Apple. But if you just want to play maybe, background while you're working, Pandora will work. I personally am not a fan of Pandora. I find a lot of the suggestions are not good. Pandora's in financial trouble. But just to go one step further, because I want to make this point, What the record companies don't understand is online, every store is right next to each other. They want to have competition. There's never competition. Google has 70% of search, okay? Amazon has 70% of online commerce. One company will have 70% of streaming, primarily because your friends are there. It looks like it's going to be Spotify. I don't care which one wins, but right now Spotify's in front.
Right.
So how in God's name and I'm a radio personality for the past 17 years. How does SiriusXM stay afloat? How? Who's buying it? Who's listening?
That's a very interesting question. The millennial does not want to sit there and wait for their track to come up.
Exactly.
Therefore, they live in an on-demand culture. Radio, when people, it's just like I remember those idiots being on the MTV Video Music Awards saying, bring music videos back to MTV. My friend ran MTV at the time, Tom Freshney, said, that's never going to happen.
Right.
Because it became an on-demand item online. So, when it comes to Sirius, what are people really listening to? They don't release data, but it appears the main driver of Sirius is Howard Stern, which you can't get anywhere else. And Howard is as good as everybody says. Listening to him on the way here.
He's brilliant.
Okay?
Yeah.
As far as music goes, that's an interesting question. Let's use an analogy. Apple has this whole Beats One radio. Nobody listens to that.
Right.
And they didn't even stop promoting it. Zane Lowe left the BBC to be on Beats Radio because that's not how millennials consume. So therefore, is Sirius timestamp as a result of when do we get internet in the car? Now, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I download them to my phone. When you talk to people in the podcast industry, many people stream them in the car. If you have a relatively new car, you might have Bluetooth, or you might have Apple CarPlay or Android equivalent, Google Play, and you can just stream it right in there. The point being data. And I'm trying to say they're streaming live. So if you can stream whatever you want out of the air without being cost prohibitive, do we need radio? I believe radio in general, music on radio in general, is just terminals, just a matter of when. Although they'll constantly BS you.
They'll always be there because it's free, though.
Yes,
Not serious, but terrestrial.
No. But the point is, it is free.
Yeah.
But once you have the ability to stream from your phone in the car,
So then who cares if it's free?
who cares if it's free?
Right.
So, is music on Sirius timestamp? Because right now I'm a big Sirius fan because I hate the goddamn commercials.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Do we hit a wall like we do with we all had iPods. We don't listen to our iPods anymore.
Right.
You know, the desktop rule. I happen to have a desktop computer, but people don't buy desktop computers anymore. So there's a constant evolution. Now, the people who own Sirius bought a huge chunk of Pandora primarily for its advertising vehicle. Sirius is trying to move online. Will they be able to? You're nodding your head. No, it doesn't look optimistic.
Yeah,
I'm not optimistic about it.
Yeah.
Man, there's so much information. If you guys want more, you could go to lefsetz.com. And you can also subscribe to the newsletter, which you
Correct.
send
The newsletter, as I say, comes out. It'll come out 5 times a day, or not for a couple of days. A lot of stuff, but if you want to see what the real story is, yes, go to lefsetz.com and you can sign up. It says subscribe right there. And if you don't want to get it, you can unsubscribe. I'm a big believer. You don't want to get it, I don't want to send it to you.
Yeah.
So you don't like it, that's fine.
No, it's
Yeah.
brilliant. There's so much useful information, not just about music or just entertainment. There are beautiful insights in politics and just pop culture, and you're a brilliant trend spotter and just watching human behavior. That's what it's really about. It's about human behavior. Thank you so much, Bob, for
It was
coming
great
on the
being
show.
here. Great meeting you in person.
Lovely.
I was actually there. This is like Woodstock. I was there at the VMA's Universal Amphitheater when you gave shit to Milton Berle.
How funny
We
is
were
that?
all there in spirit.
That is it was like 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
25 years ago,
Yeah.
probably. Something like that.
Well, you know what they say. People are in Hollywood always say, I'm waiting for my one big break. And if you're in the game, you have opportunities that you believe this is going to move you. But the thing that moves it is always something completely unexpected.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
That
right.
it just happens off the cuff and all of a sudden it blows up. And the good thing is that I would believe that would be something you're proud of, as opposed to some people that are like John Hurd just died and he was mad that he was famous for being in the Home Alone
Right,
movies,
right.
opposed to the other movies. But the way you diss Milton Berle, I would think you feel, good about that.
Well, I don't necessarily feel good about it. I just, it was something, when I think about that time, I think about the fact that I really did lose control because he had pissed me off backstage.
Oh.
And so when I got on stage, I brought that on stage, which is very unprofessional.
It was a don't mess with the queen moment.
Yeah. And honestly, looking back at that, I realized, knowing myself, I know that it had pressed a button of mine, and I hated losing control in that sense.
But you lost. I'm just going to sidebar it and say and defend you by saying you lost control in the most intellectual way possible. You did it with a read.
I honestly, I'm not proud of it. But it happened. What are you going to do?
Let's go back. At the moment, do you realize, holy fuck, I just had a great zinger and this is going to ring true?
You know what? I didn't know until the next day. I looked on USA Today, and I flew back to New York that very same, I think the next day, and I was leaving my apartment with a hoodie on, and I heard the people walking past me who didn't see me saying, "Oh my God, did you see MTV last night? Did you see what RuPaul said in this thing?" I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is something.
What
this
did
is
I
a
do?"
thing." Yes, in fact, and of course, every year when this thing comes up, they bring up that thing, and you never know when these things are going to happen.
I had the same situation. I was sitting in my house, and I say I was sitting in my underwear. I wasn't literally sitting in my underwear, and my inbox, ironically, the first one was USA Today too, is blowing up. And I go, what is going on? We want a comment from you on the new Taylor Swift song. The song is about you. We want to know what's going on. And I'm sitting there, I go, give me a break. I'm sitting in my house in L.A., whatever, blah, blah, blah. And, lo and behold, it was. Okay, now, on some, it's a weird thing because they keep, whenever you do an interview for, a big magazine like the New Yorker or whatever, they want to talk about it. Okay, well, at some level, I talked about it for the New Yorker, whatever they did a profile for her, but you don't want to talk about it anymore.
Right. What song is about you?
The song is called Mean. What happened was when she was a country artist, I was the only legitimate person who was a fan of hers. Okay? And I went to see her and raved, etc. This is what they call it, show business, not show friends.
Right.
Okay? And therefore, if you do something that helps someone's career, they are your best fucking friend. Okay?
Yeah.
So her father is emailing me, she's sending me, personal notes with glitter, etc. But I am constantly getting email that she can't sing. Okay? Now, there's a lot of people who are sour grapes in L.A., never mind the country at large. I am not going to write that without confirmation. Okay? She called me once from England and said, I wouldn't know what auto-tune is, blah, 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 blah. Fine. She goes on the Grammys, and just like your moment with Milton Berle, everyone who watches Grammys know she sang a duet with Stevie Nicks, the most horrible vocal in the history of the Grammys. Okay? So I wrote that!
Uh-oh.
And I wrote It Affected Career. Okay? It's been proved. Don't forget, I'm on the third album, and now, it's moved beyond that. There's 5 albums. But, everyone knows she's a vindictive person at this point. But it wasn't so clear at that point. So there are certain lyrics in the song that just apply to me. And in the booklet for the CD, in every song, she would highlight a letter throughout the song to have a message. And in mine, it says, "I thought you got me," which is what she sent to me in a letter. You really get me, etc. And the reason the album is called Red, the 4th album, because I kept telling her she had to listen to Joni Mitchell Blue. Now, so it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
On some level, hey, it's kind of, first you're embarrassed, okay? And then when she wrote the song about John Mayer, and then John Mayer finally came out, and said, I forget the exact term. He said, I'm mortified because, how am I supposed to speak back, etc. And then I hit back because I had a, I said, I'm just not going to write about her, again. But as I say, it's a weird thing. Yeah, it happened. It is kind of cool, but it is like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's kind of like the Milton Berle thing.
Right. Yeah, it becomes the part of your intro for everything after that. That's not how I will remember you, Bob, at all. No, I just admire someone who can look under the hood of something and dissect it and see what lies beneath. That's why I'm a subscriber, and that's why I go to Lefsetz.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Girl, Lyft is changing the game.
Hell yeah.
Of all the ride-sharing apps, Lyft is the one that you want to be with. That's the one you want to align yourself with. And child, the children are making cash money as Lyft drivers.
Cash money's honey.
Yes, they are. If you need some cash money, go to Lyft.com and apply to be a driver. You're going to be driving anyway.
Everybody be driving.
Everybody be driving. Why not charge people for it?
Let me tell you something. And there's nothing worse than going, okay, I really want to go to this party, or I really want to go to this restaurant, or really want to go to this club. A, I ain't paying $17 for no valet.
Right.
B, where am I going to find parking?
Yeah, and you might just want to get your drink on. You know what I'm saying?
That's the most important.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's the part where you have to put money in the meters. You don't have change, and your nails are too long to get your credit cards out of the meter.
Oh, it happens to me all the time. Or sometimes you'll wind up someplace where you don't even know. You go, where are my car keys?
Exactly. Blip, blip, blap. Lyft is right there.
Right there for you.
Dee, doo, 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 dee.
Yeah. And who's that come around? That's Lyft come around the corner.
Come on, pink mustache.
Yes. Well, listen, kids, you can be either the passenger or you could be the driver. I prefer being the driver myself.
Yeah, I bet.
You want to make some extra money? Go be a Lyft driver, child.
Sign up today at Lyft with a Y. That's LYFT.com/Rue. And you'll get a $500 new driver bonus after you complete 100 rides within 30 days. That's $500. So go to Lyft.com/Rue.
Hey, we are here, Michelle. Ooh, we got some tea up in here, Cheryl.
Piping hot.
That's right. Now, our special guest today is David Russell, who is the manager of Sia, of all people. But you handle other people too, though.
Well, I work for a company called Crush Music, and I work only with Sia, but the company manages Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, Weezer, Lorde, Licky Lee, Courtney Love.
Really?
A whole bunch of artists.
Now I know who to go to for Panic tickets.
Right.
I'm not in the back.
He's killing it on Broadway right now.
Brendan.
Brendan.
He's
What's
in
he
Kinky
doing?
Boots.
Kinky Boots.
Yeah.
He's playing the lead?
No, Lola's,
he's-
Lola's the lead. Brendan's not black. Lola's a black.
Oh,
drag
okay.
queen.
Well,
Right.
you never know with the. You know what? Actually,
With the colorblind casting.
this
but
is the thing. When you said Kinky, my brain immediately went to Hedwig.
Oh.
That's where my head went.
Oh.
No,
Yeah.
this is
okay.
a play that Todrick was in. But I'll say,
Yeah.
I know that you're with the company, but you don't manage Panic. Panic. I have an emo child who her first obsession.
Oh, that's
was my
hold up.
Chemical.
That's my escort agency.
Oh, tell them you're busy.
Yeah,
you're not
you know-
available.
Yeah. It's Frida. Hey, Frida.
Oh.
Girl, we are. I'm live on the air right now, and everybody's hearing our conversation because Frida's going to be coming up a little bit later. Frida
Oh,
Payne,
good.
you guys.
Oh.
yeah. So
Frida Payne.
she's fantastic.
What an amazing, underrated
I'm
singer.
sorry that the only thing I know is Band of Gold,
Well,
but that is enough.
It
to
is.
be honest.
We are back. Okay. So right. No, so you know what I love. You were about to tell a
I was
story
just
about
talking
your.
about how, as my kid, when Lily was kind of really coming into herself and who she is when we first moved here from Florida, she was the emo child, and that's who she connected with. And My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco, in particular, were two bands that really made her feel like she was into something.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of kids feel the same way, especially about those two bands in particular. But
agree.
Panic, My Chemical Romance is no longer around. Gerard Way went on his solo thing.
Right.
But Panic is still really kicking. And we go
They
to these
are.
shows. These kids are, it's like, I don't even know how to compare it to anything that we had growing up, because Panic is unlike anything we had.
Well, it doesn't hurt the fact that Brendan is very sexual.
I mean,
sis.
he's absolutely gorgeous.
And I think
Gorgeous.
No
bisexual,
question.
Is
right?
it-
I
Really?
don't know, to be honest.
I think he made
don't-
a statement that
I
he was
don't know.
bisexual, though married to a woman. But I think that helps, again, a younger generation connect to somebody who's different.
I had never seen them live until, I want to say it was 3 years ago at the Greek. And I didn't really know their music that well because I'm more of a dance pop queen myself. But I can say that show at the Greek of Panic at the Disco is one of the greatest rock shows I've ever seen. And it's
Wow.
because of the reason you just described.
Yep.
The fans and the energy and the sort of connection to Brendan and the band at large feels bigger than just a rock show. It feels like an endorsement of a lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, you didn't have to tell us you were a pop dance queen with your Bananarama T-shirt on. It's the World Tour Bananarama T-shirt with Jackie. This is when Siobhan.
The imposter.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Jackie O'Sullivan, I love you. I follow you on Twitter. I love you.
But it's a fabulous. Oh my God, it's a fabulous T-shirt. They're coming back
They are.
with
And
the original lineup.
with the original the OGs, including Siobhan Fahey, which Karen and Sarah, legendary, love everything they've done as a duo. Love Look on the Floor, Hypnotic
Oh
Tank.
God, that's so good.
Beyond.
You know the song, Michelle.
I do.
Yeah, that's the one you love.
It is?
Oh
Oh, yeah.
right.
That's them?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I will say this. Bananarama's not Bananarama without Siobhan. Just going to say it.
And I concur.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Well-
Which, of course, growing up, I thought was Siobhan, but that's another story.
That's okay. That's good. I love that. I love that the Irish, they have those weird
honey.
pronunciations.
I know.
Siobhan is pronounced
Siobhan.
Siobhan.
Yeah.
And my daughter has a friend named Neve, which is, there's B's in it.
Yeah.
There's like
Silent.
P's.
Yeah.
In-
Matilda.
Right.
Right,
In
exactly.
Neve?
Neve.
How do they
it's
spell
like
it?
Niabh. I'm not even kidding. And I was like Lily, she texted me. I said, when is Neve coming over? She's like, it's Neve, Mom. I'm like, oh.
So,
okay.
David, are you going to go see Bananarama? Are you going to Europe, or are you going to wait for them to hopefully come to America?
I'm going to Europe.
You're
I'm
going to Europe?
Yes.
Oh,
honey.
okay.
Yeah, I'm getting on a plane.
Uh-huh.
No, I am going to Europe, and I'm going, I think, to opening night and maybe the next 4 dates after that.
Who were they going to be with?
I don't know who their support is. They're big enough to headline.
Oh, of course they are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's supporting them, but Bananarama for me are. Girl groups are sort of the thing that I really obsess about, and of all the
on.
girl groups, I mean,
Tell me more.
present company included. I have a story about that. I saw Seduction live in
I'm sorry.
Riverside.
I'm apologizing now.
It's fine.
You
It-
saw them in Rivers. That's when Raven
Riverside
saw them.
Amusement Park at Agawam, Massachusetts.
Oh, in
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
That was at like some
yeah.
Magic Mountain or State Fair.
Agawam, Massachusetts, Riverside Amusement Park, which is now Six Flags New England.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Seduction and Dino.
Sure, 24/7
Oh, I
Dino.
remember
Yeah.
There you
Dino.
go.
Married Margot from the Cover Girls.
Nuh-uh.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
If I remember correctly, Dino was sexy, if I
Real
remember
sexy.
Very.
correctly.
He
yeah.
had them cornrows in his hair.
Very
Yeah.
sexy. He started as a DJ, and that's how his first hit, I Like It, got
Yes.
on the radio,
remember,
because he was
yeah.
spinning it himself and being
Sure.
like, who's this new artist?
Yeah.
You know. But Bananarama, for me, they, even as a really young kid, what I loved about them was that they applied that rock and roll ethos of DIY, do it yourself, pick up an instrument or whatever.
Yeah.
Except they left the instruments behind.
Yes, they
and
did.
applied that to the girl group format.
Right.
Of like, we can do it anyway.
Right.
We'll do what we want. And the thing that, it doesn't matter to me, but I think it matters in the larger scope of how people disrespect pop music and disrespect women making pop music. They co-wrote everything they ever put out except the covers.
Which is why the Go-Go's changed my life. And that's,
There you go.
honest to God, it was 1983, I think.
Yeah.
They changed my life because like the kids, I don't know how we got on this girl group diet.
No, I love it. Yeah.
Like the kids that associate with Panic, the Go-Go's, and I wrote about it in the book, changed my life because I was a kid who was so insecure, kind of chubby, going through that awkward 13-year-old phase.
Mm-hmm.
People made fun of me. Boys didn't like me. Bullied, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw Belinda Carlisle, who was a thick girl. Okay, whatever, with drugs and alcohol. I didn't know that, you know. She was wearing mini skirts. She was the lead singer of an all-girl band. And she just empowered me to be like, fuck you. I'm going to wear mini skirts. I'm going to wear little sneakers with lightning bolts on them. And I sat home making my own that my mother got like $3 sneakers at like Bradley's. And I sat home one night drawing lightning bolts with a Sharpie on them just to be like.
Because she wore lightning
Because it
bolts?
was like new wave and funky.
see, yeah.
And I wanted to be like her, a girl who didn't care what other people thought of me.
Yeah.
So the Go-Go's changed my life. And then Bananarama came. And that first album that came out with, I brought the album cover to the local hairdresser. And I sat down and I said, I want to look like this. And she, I think it was Siobhan, had her hair teased
I
out.
did that last week.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, you know, look at my
She
highlights.
had it teased out huge, and I'll never forget this. And she teased it for me and charged me like $60. And
Oh, my God.
In 1984 or 3, that's a lot of money.
It
and
is.
my mother came
It's a lot of money today.
roaring over to the hairdresser. She says, "How dare you charge $60 to tease my daughter's hair?" And I was like, "But I love it." It was like that moment.
But aren't you good friends with Belinda Carlisle?
I am, because when I one of my first jobs in the music industry, I was a publicist, and the Go-Go's did a reunion record in 2000, which is actually their last album they did together, called God Bless the Go-Go's, and I was the publicist.
Oh.
And from the moment I met Belinda, we just really hit it off. And of course, I kept it very professional while we were working together. And the second that we weren't working together anymore,
You
she
became
and I
lovers.
we became lovers.
Yes. Right.
And I'm here to confess that I'm in a relationship with Belinda Carlisle.
Wow,
love
No,
congratulations.
it's funny. It's funny in the trajectory of my life, only because when I was a kid, I had a similar situation with the Go-Go's where as a very young boy, there was something young gay boy, there was something incredibly empowering about these 5 women doing it their own way, looking the way they did, gorgeous, but not typical gorgeous, you know? So I went to see Belinda solo like 4 times as a teenager. And now she is one of my closest friends.
Wow.
She's one of the smartest people I know.
Is she here or in Paris?
Well, she's here now, actually.
In LA.
Literally now she's here. But she's actually doesn't live in France anymore either. She's it's wanderlust for Belinda. She's traveling all over the planet all the time.
Because her kid's grown now, right?
Yeah, her kid's a grown man.
Yeah.
He's like 24 or 25.
Yeah.
So what does that mean, traveling all over? Is she on tour?
She's always doing dates, whether they're solo dates or, Go-Go's had their final concert ever last summer at the Greek. But she's constantly working all over the world. And so she's touring, but she's also involved with the Animal People Alliance, which is this organization that I want to say she helped begin.
Okay.
But she does all kinds of charity work, and she has a record coming out this fall.
Why do you think people decide this will be the Go-Go's last record or performance ever? Why do they do that? Because they can't stand each other? Is that
Cher.
why they do that?
Well, I definitely know I know personally with the Go-Go's, it's not because they can't stand each other. They all get along great. I think it's that in the case of the Go-Go's, my impression was that they felt as though they did what they had come to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a child. It's not like you're saying, I'm going to never visit my child again.
Very true. I think you have to look at marketing too for a tour.
Sure.
I mean,
now
that's
I understand.
cynical, but it is true.
Yeah.
And I think we're accustomed now to people saying, "This is it. I'm never performing again," like Michael Jackson, and then they die after they announce it.
Right.
No, we're used to people coming back and,
I also
and
think
saying,
women, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think women are looked at differently than, like, when I go see Aerosmith or the Rolling Stones, they can be the crypt keepers on stage
Sure.
and not be judged.
Right.
But women are going to be ripped apart with the way that they look. Not that the Go-Go's ever cared, but still there's a little more sense
Sure
of
there
self
is.
for
I
women.
agree.
Especially when you think about who the market for the Stones is. They're old guys
Correct.
who look just like that,
Correct.
and they're not judging them the same way.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And I think also the Stones and the Beatles or whoever, they had an image, of course, but because standards are different for women, I think the Go-Go's were credited with their own sort of image, this idea of what they look like
Sure.
and how they're presenting themselves. And so they're expected to keep that up. They're expected to.
Yes, that's
they're
my point.
Sure.
When I started working with them in 2000, I remember so clearly they were taping Behind the Music when I started working with them, which their Behind the Music episode was one of the best ever. And I can remember they were getting set for camera and everything, and Belinda made a joke because the camera guy was like, "You guys look great." And Belinda was like, "Yep, still got it." Like this idea that,
Right, exactly.
you better look great. And here's a compliment, you look great.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
like...
Because they fought it their whole
Exactly.
careers, which is what my age group and the people, I went to see them 11 times.
Yeah, I mean...
My mother took me to Florida to see them. I can't even I saw them with Flock of Seagulls. Like, I saw them with everybody.
Police.
Really?
Yeah,
Everybody.
they did that big
Honestly.
police tour.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the
Wow.
point is, the whole group of girls were me. The girls that
They
wanted
represent
to
you.
be
That's
them.
That's
you
the
know?
cornerstone of pop music. Before we go on, how do I turn my ringer off on this
come here.
phone?
I'll
Here,
show
let
you.
me just unlock it real quick, because we've got some people coming here who want to come up the stairs.
Look how
and
easy
they're
it
going to
is.
call me.
Watch.
It's-
You don't.
yeah.
You don't even need to do that.
I
Watch.
don't? Oh.
See this button?
Yeah.
You do that. Done.
Wait.
That's
that little. Of course.
Now all it'll do is buzz.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
right. But
Great.
buzzing's
Yeah.
way.
Oh, I
Okay.
agree.
Especially
Yeah.
where you keep
So
your phone.
now, David,
Yeah.
you said
Front pocket.
you're from. Did you New England somewhere?
I am. I'm from Enfield, Connecticut, which is a little suburb in the 80s sense of Hartford, a little north of Hartford.
Oh,
so
the
on the
insurance
Massachusetts
capital of the world.
go.
How's your insurance? Do you have any insurance?
I have health insurance, honey. Thank God for the time being. We'll
yeah,
see.
Well, for
right,
now,
right,
yeah.
right.
We'll see.
So I know that you love pop music. You know, I met David in Amoeba Record Store maybe 17 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
no way!
And I was there early in the morning.
And
he was there
taking
early in the morning.
Clients in the dressing room.
He was out by the dumpster.
How dare you? I was not that dumpster. The one, my God. I was at the ArcLight.
And we, I don't know how we started talking. I think it may have been LaToya Jackson or something
It
like
was,
that.
Sounds right.
I
Yeah.
was looking for the Hot Potato 12-inch single.
Yes.
And I think you were too. And I was like, I'm going to, this bitch, get out of my way. I don't care who she
We're
is.
gonna
Yeah.
fight.
Give me that 12-inch.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Right.
I knew,
Exactly.
I knew I had a friend for life because he speaks the same pop music
Yeah.
language that I do. That I love pop music. I love everything about it, the ins and outs of it. That's why it's amazing to me that you are a manager, because I would think that's the most thankless job in the world, having to, and you don't have to say this, but having to babysit artists.
Yeah.
With their every need, and you do tend to their every need.
Unless you're
Absolutely.
lucky enough to get an artist who.
Well, I'm lucky in a lot of ways. First of all, Sia is, I mean, I've been working with her now for almost 13 years.
And a woman of a certain age. So she's
41.
not a baby.
Nope, she's not a
You know?
baby. But I've been with her for 13 years. I've been with her since we were 28.
Wow.
And I'm incredibly lucky for reasons I could never list. I mean, she's so brilliant, so talented. I know I'm her manager, but it's not hyperbole. She is really that brilliant. Second, I'm so lucky to work for Crush Music. I mean, Jonathan Daniel and Bob McClin, who run the company, Jonathan and I really work as co-managers on Sia. Plus, we have an entire team of people on internal marketing department. We have PR. We have an incredible partner in our label. We have so many people.
You guys have a label also?
Well, Sia is now with she has a record label,
Right.
through the majors and everything
Yeah.
like that. But
What's Sia's label?
well, she was on Sony and RCA
Right.
for the past couple of years, and we're about to announce that she's
Oh, okay.
got a new partnership.
That's exciting.
coming out. Yeah, it's very exciting. But my point is that yes, it is a thankless job if you're thinking about the way you just summed it up, the babysitting and this sort of, because yes, that is part of it, absolutely taking care of every need. But I am incredibly lucky because we have a team of people that we call Team Sia, including Sia, because it starts at the top, as
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
And it is an environment that fosters creativity and support, and I really believe that that is the reason, one of the main reasons that she is as successful as she is. And it is all by her design. It really, truly is. We're working on a project right now. It's a massive undertaking, and I'm in awe of the way she has taken the reins. And I'm in awe of her not because she's a woman and not because she's 41. I'm in awe of her because of her talent
Yeah.
and her generosity.
Wow.
I really, really am.
We're going to go to break in a minute, but I wanted to ask you also about, do you think about perhaps taking on other clients?
I do a lot. I just think that, I'm a big Prince fan, huge Prince fan.
Yes, you have 17 Days
do.
tattooed on your forearm
I
there.
do.
And 17 Days is actually, I think it's my favorite Prince song. It's the B-side of When Doves Cry.
Yes.
Of the single of Doves. Do you know the song?
I do know the song.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Prince fan.
Yeah.
And it was originally
Myself.
written for Apollonia 6, for that Apollonia 6
Oh,
record. That's why you
really?
can really hear Brenda at the end. When
Yeah.
it's fading out, you hear Brenda go, 17 days. In that, like sort of like smoky.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite song of all time. Even though, like, my queen is Madonna, and it's all about
Thank
Madonna
you.
forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. It's my favorite song. So when I think about Prince, I think about an artist who created his own planet.
Yes.
And I think about Sia in the same way.
Yeah.
Prolific, writing hits for other people,
Artistic.
writing their own hits.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I just think, I work with her. How could I work with anyone else?
Well, Rue and I are available for putting together a girl group.
Oh,
yes.
Just FYI.
Well,
yeah.
can I
We'll
be in
be
the
the
girl
new-
group?
we'll be the new Bardot.
I love
Stop.
it.
If
Yes.
you're going to go deep, I'm going to go deeper.
Bardot.
I
Did
love
you
it.
know that Terry B was in Bardot?
Oh, my.
Terry B, the white rapper that was produced by back in the day,
Yeah.
Eazy-E,
Yes.
I think. She was one of the original two in Bardot.
Terry
Wow,
B.
you learn something new every day.
I know.
We're going to take a quick break. We've got David Russell here. We're going to get all the inside dirt on the music industry. So you guys stay with us. You know, Michelle, I grew up reading Interview magazine. That's how I found out about Andy Warhol and that I wanted to move to New York and become change my name, become a superstar, all that kind of stuff. I lived for magazines. Now there's a way to see all those your favorite magazines
Yep.
in one place on your phone or on your app. It's called Texture.com.
Yeah, it's a texture app, actually, Rue, and it's gone beyond delivering the magazines itself. They've made it easy to find and enjoy the articles you want to read with daily recommendations, which I love, exclusive interactive features, videos, and more. And here's the thing. Texture makes magazines easy, and there's so many great ones out there. Like you said, Interview Magazine has been your favorite since you was just a little RuPaul.
Yes, ma'am.
And they have my favorite, Popular Mechanics.
Oh my God! I knew that about you.
Of course you
You
did.
and low. Oh, you're
Low
such a-
rider, yeah.
You're amazing, Michelle.
All that stuff.
Well, listen, I love Vogue. I love all the pop culture stuff, and
Yeah.
Texture is the one-stop shopping for all the magazines. Like over 200 magazines at your fingertips. You know, we travel. Who wants to carry all those magazines with you? You have them on your Texture app.
And not only that, kiddo, but they also have, it's searchable.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you have to go through pages and regular. It's like, what? You have to rip out all the stupid perfume ads and gut the magazine. But now you could search it. You can mark what you like. You could check out back issues because everybody likes a back issue.
Oh, yes.
Bonus video content. They even have, they can curate articles and magazines just for you or whoever you're giving Texture to this year. Now, it's normally $9.99 a month, and you get over 200 magazines, which that in itself is huge.
Yeah.
But if you sign up right now at texture.com/Rue, get a 14-day free trial. 14 days for free.
That's brilliant. I love it. Listen, educate yourself. Learn what's going on in the world. Unfortunately, they don't have Lowrider magazine, but
I
they do
know.
have Motor Trends and
Popular Mechanics, like I
yes,
said.
Yes, they're all there.
They have Boys Life.
It's brilliant. Teen Vogue, 17, all of your favorite magazines are right here.
Yes, and it's so easy to get, you guys. Right now, Texture is offering our listeners a 14-day free trial when you go to texture.com/Rue. That's 14 days to try Texture for free. So check out texture.com/Rue. That's texture.com/Rue.
We are back with David Russell. David Russell is the manager of Sia, pop superstar Sia, who's Australian.
She is.
Where in Australia is she from?
Adelaide.
Adelaide.
Adelaide doesn't get enough attention.
It doesn't, but you know, one of the, a couple of years ago, we went to Hamilton Island, which is near the Great Barrier Reef, and we found out that, and there's a resort there called Qualia, which is fabulous.
Oh, we talked about
Fabulous,
this.
yeah. Well, because that was so fabulous for us, we said, well, what other resorts in Australia could we go to that's like that? And apparently, there's one off the coast of Adelaide called the Southern Ocean Lodge.
Okay.
In
That
Adelaide?
It's actually an island off of Adelaide.
Wow. I think you mean the Great Barrier Reef.
Yes, that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
that's what I
You
thought. I
know
was
me
just gonna
so
correct
well.
you. Yeah,
You know
yeah.
me so well, Michelle.
Thank you for being historically accurate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
In Adelaide, I mean, I've been a few times now with Sia, and the best Chinese food I've ever had in my life is at this place called Ying Chow in Adelaide, Australia. And
Really?
I swear to God, it's reason enough to make the 17 million hour journey.
Yeah. Well, you know,
really
it's
is.
funny because of years of living in New York and not having money, you know, you start off with Chinese food and pizza.
Yes.
But I've had so much Chinese food, it's hard for me to eat it anymore.
But don't you ever every once in a while, I will crave a good Chinese.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, that was your Australian accent?
That was a good
So,
one.
is it
that,
right?
right,
Is it
exactly.
okay? 'Cause it sounded more British to me.
It was very sex train. It was very like,
Yes, because just if you're sex change, it makes change. Well, but George has a story. You know, my husband is Australian, and his mother.
My husband, say it again.
Yeah.
Don't say it again for the single people in the
Say
room.
it
Right?
again. Say it again.
Well, his mother, his mother would try to get a deal on things for a cheaper price, and she was trying to haggle with a Chinese vendor for something, and she had the nerve to say
Oh, no.
to this Chinese vendor, you know, people have taken me for Chinese.
Shut Was that after the
I can't.
And so George and I,
facelift? White hair.
yes.
Oh, my
But
God.
George and I always joke that she's actually saying, well, people have taken me for Chinese cuisine.
I hope they took her to Ying Chow. I'm telling you.
Adelaide.
Chow.
Ying Chow
Okay.
in Adelaide, Australia. It is like, I can't.
What
It's
did
the
you
best.
order?
Well, I had whatever Sia ordered.
Yeah.
I
No, that's smart.
I remember there was bean curd.
Right.
Okay.
It was absolutely delicious, and there was some kind of like salt and pepper chicken.
Oh,
like
salt
but
and
the
pepper
thing-
here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in full effect.
And
but
Spinderella pork.
Oh,
Right.
I love that. Sounds delicious.
poor thing. Sorry,
Yeah.
Cinderella. Still not quite there. No, about Chinese food though. It's so frustrating. I've been in LA for 15 years
Can't
now.
find good Chinese.
I can't find General Tso's chicken.
What about Mr. Chow?
Anywhere.
Isn't that supposed to be?
Mr. Chow is
Mr.
Chinese.
Salt?
Is it?
But it's
yeah, it's
not-
very salt. But it's very fusiony.
They bring
So,
a
like-
whole duck and they put it on the table. It's
Yeah.
like I
Fashion
want to order by a
Chinese.
number.
Got it.
Yeah.
I want it in 15 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I want
Yeah.
the New York experience, and we
Yeah.
don't have that out here.
Yeah.
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 all.
No.
Well, that's interesting because you're right. Mr. Chow is Chinese, but
Yes.
it doesn't.
It's fashion Chinese.
I think I'm not going to say any names.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you later. When we were in Vegas, went to Mr. Chow. Someone's manager was seated a few tables away from us, and this manager was having dinner with another famous manager. I wonder if I could say the other
Well, you
famous.
can say who they are unless you're going to say what happened.
Well,
What happened?
well,
And what happened wasn't slandering.
I'll tell you. I'll say it out loud, and then you guys tell me
Okay.
if I should say the
Okay.
name.
Okay.
Okay. This manager was having dinner with another really famous manager. And when you think of famous managers,
Yeah.
we're talking the big ones,
Yes,
right? Okay.
I've got like 6 names in my head.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You know who they are.
You know who they are. I'm let me do
Manager
some
number
sounding.
one.
Manager number one is this. Okay.
I knew
Yes,
it.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because that manager can't.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I've got stories about that manager.
Shut the
Not
trap.
for tape.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, not for
Okay.
tape.
Not for tape.
Okay, all right.
Right.
And then the other manager is the manager of
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. That was good.
I'm going to do it.
That was really good.
Yeah.
well, okay, manager number one the whole time talked the whole time. Did not let anyone speak.
And out loud, too, right?
Out loud. I could hear
Caca. It.
it.
Yes.
I could hear it the whole time. And it was so indicative of what is going on in the client's career.
Completely.
Because it has nothing to do with it's all about the manager.
Because-
1,000%.
So how do you balance that? How do you make sure you're not being that?
It doesn't become about you.
Oh my God! Well, first of all, for example, this when you texted me, I was so flattered to be asked to be on this because I've listened to every episode, and I'm a big fan of both of you. But the first thing I did was ask Sia if I could do it. I mean, I'm a conduit for her work. Like I think the reason Sia and I have lasted so long, and I started as her like day-to-day assistant 13 years ago, is because.
But that's loyalty. You're a loyal bitch.
Yes, she is loyal.
A-
Because
amen.
she's the one with the opportunity to say, I'm done with that.
Why do you think I'm still here?
Well, right,
This
exactly.
one.
Well, right.
Loyalty
so
and love.
I have always seen my role as a conduit. She creates the art and we help get it into the world exactly how she wants it.
Love that.
My impression of what you're describing is someone who sees themselves as their career separate from the management of the artist. They're managing their own brand.
Yeah.
They've developed their own brand. I mean, I guess for myself, I'm not interested in that. I don't like I like where I am. I like being on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm inside,
Yeah.
I'm still on the outside.
Right.
I still get to
Live
you
in
know,
anonymity.
exactly.
And,
And plus, I would hate if my reputation in the world, which is this manager's reputation, is one of a really mean,
Svengali.
aggressive Svengali. Like, first of all, no one would believe it anyway because everyone knows Sia is a genius. So I would,
Right.
And I've been lucky too in that the way that I came up in music, I've always worked for small companies, indie companies, and there's just a different ethos there. There's,
Yeah.
I've never worked for the big.
But you recognize too that it's kind of irresistible for most people to not take the bait of making it all about them.
Yeah.
Because
It's the ego.
It's the ego, and
Yeah.
the manager's role is to be the eyes and ears of someone while they're out in the spotlight. The manager is looking around and assessing the
Absolutely.
landscape and seeing what's happening, the word on the street, and all that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And listening.
And listening.
And listening. I
Yeah.
mean, I think another reason that Crush is so amazing, it's an amazing company to work for, but we have such great clients and great success, is because we listen to our artists and we do what our artists asks us to.
Which is so rare.
It is. No, of course it is. I mean, there's a plethora of pop stars out there now who are being told what to do, or who are being told to ignore their instincts and follow a path. And that leads to a certain kind of success, for sure.
Sure.
But,
But then
the
it
story's
ends.
the same, isn't it always? I mean, it's cyclical. It's like,
Yeah.
we're looking at it now with pop stars who rise to the top and then suddenly fall faster than they could have ever imagined. For me, that's because there's no communication. There's no idea, no belief in what the artist actually wants.
You know what it is too? It's like remember the child star syndrome? That it's almost just transferred to pop music.
I agree.
Because that's no longer, remember all these people that fell off and were in court and on TV every day in the early 90s. It's now transferred over to pop music, and it's happening with them who start too young or were, like I was in one of the worst production deals in the history of music.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm desperate to know about all this.
We'll
I'm
but it's kind of like what's happening to them, where they are plucked from obscurity and made into these pop stars, and then
Yes.
what do you do?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but it's a synergy, because I think one of the greatest it's almost like the Beauty and the Beast, where the manager is the beast and the beauty is the talent, and then what happens is if each person understands their role, then it can be very successful. Because I think one of the most successful manager artist relationship is J-Lo and Benny Medina.
Correct.
They are magic together, and they've reinvented the whole game. Because for an artist to do TV commercials or television and then movies and then stage and she has really reinvented the whole thing.
I don't know her. I really. Oh my God! I really didn't mean it like that. I really didn't mean it.
Anybody who's following
Wait,
Scott,
I am a diehard Jennifer Lopez fan, and what I meant to say is that I don't know her. Sia has worked with her on J-Lo's last album, AKA. Sia wrote a song with her called "Expertise," which is really I love that record. But anyway, I'm a giant fan of Jennifer Lopez from the outside, which is why I said I don't know her, because I don't know their relationship.
Personally, yeah.
What it looks to me is that Benny Medina believes in Jennifer Lopez 110%. Any idea, and she is incredibly confident. And so when you have that confidence to say, yeah, I want to be the lead in a hit series, have the most successful residency in Vegas, hits on the charts, the most successful brand, perfume brand, all of that.
Yeah.
I want to have all that. And you don't have a manager saying, I don't know. Let's see. Let's do it this way instead. I feel, and again, I have no idea, but that success and that synergy, as you said, that looks to me like Benny Medina's like, absolutely. Anything it takes. I believe in you 110%. I've got you. And I admire that.
Have you been able to tell Sia, no, ma'am, no, you shouldn't do that?
Never, because I really trust her instincts. I mean, everything that you've seen from Sia in the past 4.5, 5 years, when things really started to take off with Titanium and then Chandelier and all that, every bit of the creative has come from Sia. We trust her implicitly. I think a lot of management would have been scared by the idea of, okay, I want to do this, but I'm going to wear a wig and I'm going to hide my face.
Right.
Or even before that, the first television performance we ever did of Chandelier was on Ellen. She faced the wall. On the Grammys, Sia faced the wall.
And what
She
is the
never
purpose
turned
behind
around.
it for people who don't know?
Because she didn't want to be hunted, and she didn't want to be trading on her face. She wanted the music and the art to speak for itself, and she didn't want to become, to be famous in 2017 is to be like a Target. It's not really, it's not like when I was a kid and a famous person was generally famous for achievement of some kind.
Not for what they look like.
No, and ironically, the first people that I can remember being famous for no reason were people like Donald and Ivana Trump. When I was a kid.
True.
And I remember thinking,
They were famous for being rich.
Yeah, famous for being rich, exactly. And And Sia wanted to avoid that. That kind of pressure, that kind, she described it in an interview in Billboard magazine as like, a really mean mother-in-law criticizing you all the time. That's what the media feels like.
And that doesn't interest her at all.
At all.
But it has. I mean, people do know what she looks like now. That has eased up now. What was the decision to... Actually, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to do another segment right after this. Girl, Lyft is changing the game. They're at it again.
Yeah.
They are making it so easy for people to make money.
And honey, everybody needs some money.
Everybody needs some money.
If you're in the need of some money, try Lyft, Lyft. No, you're not being a passenger.
No, you are being a driver.
Thank you. As you know, it's the ride-sharing app that lets you be your own boss, pick your own hours, and earn up to $1,500 a week driving your own car.
And this thing about Lyft is that there's a tip button, and you get to keep all your tips.
100%.
100%.
Say it again for the people in the back.
You get to. There's a tip button in there where you get to tip your driver, and the driver keeps 100% of their tips.
With Lyft, you don't wait for paychecks. With Express Pay, once you have over $35 in your account, you can cash out at any time.
Wait, are you Edward G. Robinson, or are you doing Cher
it's like a
right now?
combination. Cher G. Robinson. Does it work for you?
I love it.
Thank you. Like Ru said, you keep 100% of the tips. They add up fast. The drivers have been paid over $200 million since the feature was introduced. Now, mind you, that's collectively.
Yes.
Not one driver. Lyft has even taken the guesswork out of pickups. So the new AMP device that they have, they use color coding. That sounds like it's racist, but they don't mean it that way. Color
You
coding,
had to go there?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, like pink, blue, green,
Sure.
yellow,
Yes,
like that,
yes.
to help passengers find their drivers. We have a special offer for y'all. Sign up today at lyft.com/Ru, and you'll get a $500 new driver bonus after you complete 100 rides with 30 days. There's other apps out there. They are busted.
Right.
Ain't nothing like Lyft. That's $500. Go to lyft.com, lyft.com/RU, and join us.
We are back with David Russell. I wanted to play some songs, too, because you mentioned 17 Days. I just want to play a little bit of 17 Days so people know what we're talking about. Also, in this 17 Days, I put it through an app called DJ, which you can kind of remaster it. So I made it a little louder.
Okay.
Good.
And I made it a little faster.
I knew that you were going to say that. I knew it.
Right.
Ru likes tempo.
And I had it produced by Barry Harris. Boom. Thunderpuss remix.
Oh, my God.
So this is 17. I think the producer said we can only play like 15 or 20 seconds of it.
Right.
So
You get
we'll
the point.
see. Yeah, let's see. Can you hear it, Michelle?
Oh, yeah.
Let me get to the chorus, okay?
By the way, this was my favorite era of Prince.
Yeah. Well, it's a B-side of
And
When
by the
Doves
way,
Cry.
to this day, Purple Rain is one of my favorite all-time movies. I don't even have to care about the acting, you know?
Oh,
Is the part coming up right now with the That's
oh yeah,
my
here it
favorite.
comes. Yeah. Oh, let me go. It's the second verse.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, there's
Brenda.
Susan. Oh, is it
Sing
Brenda?
Brenda. Yeah.
It's Brenda.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Brenda.
I love it.
The BBs on this, if I'm right, I think are Wendy, Lisa, Jill Jones, and Brenda.
Oh.
Because the other two in Vanity, Apollonia 6 were not vocalists.
I see.
But
yeah.
he sure was cute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Vanity, in my opinion, Vanity, the late Denise Matthews, is the most physically beautiful pop star we've ever had.
Oh my
ever,
God!
Period.
Yes.
End of.
Soaking wet,
Stunning.
even with a shaved head. Just
like
stunning.
I just got chills.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you ever
like,
seen Tanya's Island?
of course.
Yeah.
I've seen all of it.
See, this is why I love you so much. You know every pop culture reference I could throw at you. And I knew that when I met him in the Amoeba record store, it just in passing, a few things, I got his intellectual DNA in 2 seconds.
Of course you
Well, if
did.
somebody says "Hot Potato" 12-inch single by LaToya Jackson,
Heads
you're like,
are gonna turn.
he's mentally ill, but he knows a lot. But no, I mean, that's what happens when you're a gay kid growing up in a suburb. and you're femme. I couldn't pass. I was never the little boy that people were like, I wonder if he's gay. Like, I wonder what that is. I was telling you earlier that, I made my mother let me get tinted glasses that were tinted mauve at 11 years old.
You're saying
my mother and
mauve.
father were, biting their nails every day,
How
like, this kid's going to get killed.
is that?
But I devoted all my free time to pop music, pop culture. So as a 10-year-old, I was going deep into the career of vanity. I was like, where am I going to get my hands on the Animal 12?
Oh, I
how am I
love
going to get
it.
the remixes of
Under the
Seventh
Influence.
Heaven,
Oh,
Under
Seventh-
the Influence, like all that stuff. So yeah.
What was the first piece of music? Was it a single that you first bought?
My first record that I ever got was that was my own. My grandmother bought me the album Word of Mouth by Tony Basil.
Oh,
It
yes.
had Mickey on it.
With
and I was
Mickey,
obsessed
yes.
with Mickey. And then of course I love Shopping A to Z and all the other songs that were on the record.
I love that second single from the next album, Head Over Heels.
Head Over Heels, amazing. All of it.
We should play a little bit of Head Over Heels. But first, I want to play a little bit of my favorite song of all time.
Oh my
And
God.
Wait,
Michelle-
this is a big statement.
Wow.
Well,
Your favorite
my
song?
favorite pop song of all
Okay,
time.
Oh yes,
Pop
no,
song.
I know what this is.
Yeah,
Pop
you
song.
know what it
Pop
is.
song.
Yeah, and I want to ask you too, Michelle. We're going to play this, but I want to know what your favorite pop song of all time is.
Oh my God.
Mine
Yeah.
is 17 Days. It's really hard because it's followed closely by Open Your Heart by Madonna.
Oh, that's a good one.
But it really is 17 Days.
You got that tattooed
I
also.
do,
Open
yeah.
Your Heart.
In the typeface and the color from the back of the
Brilliant.
True Blue album.
Thank you for
Brilliant.
that.
I'm never getting laid
Thank
for
you.
admitting that. But yes. Right.
Okay, so here is my favorite pop song of all time. We're just going to play a little bit of it.
It's
Here
so
it goes. I love it so much.
Oh.
Rick Astley,
Yeah.
Take Me to Your Heart.
Oh God.
Which sounds exactly like every other Rick Astley
Yeah.
song.
But what we love about this is that it starts in a minor key.
It starts in a minor
Yep.
key, and then when they go into the verse, it changes.
Right
Here
here.
it goes.
Yep. Who produced Rick Astley's stuff?
Stock
Stock
Aitken
Aitken
Waterman.
Waterman.
Of course, you could hear it.
The most legendary. I mean,
Oh,
deep down inside.
so good. So
It's
good.
so good.
Now, Michelle, I'm assuming yours is a Madonna song.
See, for me, I almost categorize Madonna by herself.
I do too.
And then the rest of pop music. My
Yeah.
favorite, I like. It's gun to my head with Madonna because there's so many. But I'm gonna say because it's my favorite.
Well, what's your
video.
favorite Madonna song then?
Yeah.
Express yourself.
Express
Yes.
yourself.
And there's
Yeah.
a million. Look, Burning Up. There's a million from back in the day. Even at Close Range, the ballad. Like
Live to Tell.
Yes. Oh, like a lot of
Tell,
them from
yeah.
back then. Even the one from Matthew Modine,
Crazy
Vision
for You.
Quest.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
There's all those. But for me, Express Yourself not only makes a statement. The video was otherworldly.
Yes.
Changed the game.
Yeah.
And the voice, the way the song progresses, everything about it, and the way she starts. Come on, girls! You know, like
Yeah.
just
The
everything.
various remixes.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
fact that at that time there was the 7-inch edit with the horns and all the you'll never come down, all that.
Yes, yes.
And then Shep Pettibone, that
Yes.
legendary
Yeah.
god,
That's the one.
did the dance mix that
Yeah.
was. I mean, I
And that
can't.
whole first album is amazing. And I even live for Sidewalk Talk, and she's just on the background
Yeah.
vocals on that
Same.
for
She
Jelly.
wrote it. How about
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I love the Patrick Leonard Madonna.
yes,
That's
yes.
my
Yeah.
my
Yep.
thing.
So
But
what's your fave then?
my fave Madonna song? Let me pull up the playlist real quick so I can remind myself.
There's
but,
so many.
Well,
to
there's
choose
different
from.
eras. You know,
Yes,
there's
for
different
me.
eras of it.
Yeah.
So here, my favorite Madonna is.
Burning Up is it's another.
I like Burning Up, but it wouldn't make my top 10.
It wouldn't make my top
wouldn't
10
make
either. See, mine are Spotlight, Causing a Commotion, and White Heat.
Causing-
And Dress You Up.
Causing a Commotion is so for me. It's Open Your Heart because it's partly nostalgia. Of
Yeah.
course, I was 11 when that record came out, and I had to be that little boy in that video. I had to. And now, funny little connection, that little boy in that video grew up to be Felix Howard, who worked in publishing and signed Sia to her very first publishing deal.
What?
And I'm friends with
From
him
the Open
now,
the
of
Heart
course,
video?
because I'm a stalker. But yeah. The little boy from the Open Your
just
Heart
goes
video.
to prove that, if you have to be kind in this business, you
Yes.
have to, because you see everybody all over
Yep.
again.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It's so important. And that's why the temptation to be, very, all of that, say, oh, I'm a thing,
Yeah.
I hate
It's
that.
all that. It resists that temptation, because the truth is, I can't tell you how many jobs I've gotten because people remember me as being a sweetheart.
Yep.
And that I was kind to them.
Yep.
They don't know you.
I
do
try
they?
to always be kind. My
The
role,
producer's laughing because I'm the meanest to him. He's in there laughing because I'm the meanest to him. Michelle, am I right?
You're mean to him because you love him.
Exactly.
But can I sidebar and say that Lucky Star changed my life? So
How
let's not
did that?
ever take out Lucky Star either. Because that was the song that I went, that's who I need. That's it. That's
well, mine
who
was
I'm gonna be.
Material Girl. Mine was Material Girl because I don't think you can separate Madonna's music from her video imagery for those first 25 years.
You're right. It's combined.
So it's just, and that's okay. That's
Yeah,
not
sure.
saying, she's only successful because she's sexy. Like, it's not about that. It's just that she did it better than anybody
Absolutely.
else.
But
And-
Lucky Star.
No, it's legendary. But for me, it was Material Girl.
and
Yeah.
But because Lucky Star was before Material Girl, but Lucky Star visually launched 1,000 ships.
It
Yes,
did.
and it's produced by Reggie Lucas and M. Toomey, who had been doing Stephanie Mills, and they
Yeah.
had been doing so many other artists
Yeah.
who were brilliant.
Famously, Rolling Stone, in their review of the Madonna album, said, "A white Stephanie Mills the world does not need."
Who
And
said
my
that?
7-year-old
Was that
ass
Peter
was
Travers?
like, "Yes, it does."
Was it Peter Travers?
No, it was a nobody. It was nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, but pop music is so. Your first was the
Tony Basil, Word of Mouth.
Word of
my
Mouth.
first album. But my parents, my dad was into like Fleetwood Mac, Deep Purple,
Oh.
Kiss. My mom was into the Supremes, Motown.
really.
And so I grew up with a mother who just knew all the words to every Supreme song. And that was my mom. And my mom is still my best friend. My mom and dad are my best friends.
Are they still together?
They are.
Wow,
It'll be
that's amazing.
44 years in October.
Why are they still? What happened? Is
God,
it
I-
booze? Is it
They got
poppers?
no, my parents will tell you that the reason they're still together is because they got married so young. They got married at 19. And they immediately had kids and did what you did. We had no money. It was just like, it's an era that doesn't exist anymore. There weren't the distractions.
Yeah.
And they just stayed together. And they're best friends. They really are. I know a lot of people are
I
in the
hate
dark about their
them.
parents. I know. So do I. No, I absolutely despise them. How dare they?
Can I now? My first single, the first piece of music that I owned that was mine was "Could It Be I'm Falling in Love" by the Spinners. Was
Great song.
Great. What was yours, Michelle?
The
The
I
Go-Go's?
ever bought myself.
Yeah, that was yours.
It was a record by Kenny Rogers called "Coward of the County."
Oh, I love that song.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bought that first with my money, and then the other one was a record. We talked about this by Wings called "With a Little Luck."
With a
I
little
love
luck. Yes,
that
it's a
Wings
great song.
I like Wings better than the Beatles. But the first
Yeah.
45 I ever bought with my own money was Head Over Heels by the Go-Go's.
And it's a great. That was from Talk Show.
Yep.
Great choice. Talk Show was the album that people didn't want to acknowledge.
Completely agree.
Okay. And
it was
Produced by
great.
Martin Rushent.
Speaking of which, I want to play a little bit of "Head Over My Head" by Tony Basil.
Okay.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yes,
Over my head.
Over My Head,
Oh my
which
God.
I actually like better than
Mickey?
Yeah,
She might have done this on American Bandstand.
I
Over
think
My
she
Head.
did. I think she did. That's
yeah.
where I think I first heard it. It's very Giorgio Moroder style. Let me get to the chorus. Or the
Don't
verse.
bore us. Get to the chorus.
Oh, this is good. Have you heard it before?
I just can't remember hearing it. It's like,
Giorgio Moroder.
Is it?
It's not him.
Oh, it
It's
could be.
a ripoff.
Yeah.
ooh, yeah.
I love you doing the dance moves.
I can't. That is good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
have to get into my
lovely.
Tony Basil when I get
Yeah,
home.
well, he and I exchange songs a lot.
Of
He'll-
course.
if he's looking for something, he'll ask me.
You have everything.
I have a lot
you
of
do.
stuff.
You do
No.
have everything.
But
have
you know,
everything.
there are certain people, other people out there in the network,
Mm-hmm.
under the Harriet Tubman of
Yeah.
music,
Yeah.
who I can ask. There's the kid in Texas
Mm-hmm.
who is his name is Brett, and he has everything.
Really?
Everything.
Is he single?
He is. You know what? He just hooked up with someone.
Damn it.
But
he's
he
Texas.
was
Right.
out here recently. But I need to exchange. I need to get have a confab of all of us
Yes.
to get together and have a convention
talk
of
music.
songs. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, one of the things, you sent me the Irene Cara record
Yes.
like 2 weeks ago or
Yeah.
something, and I've been listening to it nonstop. I didn't know breakdance existed.
Really?
And I love that song.
Well,
I'm
because
totally...
now that is all Giorgio Moroder.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And when you hear breakdancing, it's the exact same song as I think Zara, one of the Nina Hagen songs.
Yeah.
You know,
Nina Hagen. Come
yes,
on.
yeah.
I've never got to see her live, and that's someone I would have loved to have seen. I mean, maybe she's still touring. I don't know.
I
but
bet
in the
she's-
day, she would have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I bet she's still doing something. But he produced an album on her, or was it New York, or was it Zara? This is Giorgio Moroder and Nina Hagen, Zara, and think breakdancing.
I like their
by
clothing
Irene
store.
Cara.
Oh my god. Oh, that clap.
Yeah,
When I die, I want that clap playing at my funeral.
Break dancing.
Yes, it's the same.
Break dancing.
Ooh.
This is all the out of disco transitioning to the dance world.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to go to a little bit to the vocals.
Oh God.
This. I guess this is an instrumental.
Well, that was successful.
Yeah.
I mean, all the Giorgio Moroder stuff I love. I was lucky because my parents saw in me as a young kid that music was the thing that I was responding to the most, and so my dad took me to concerts. I went to see Whitney Houston on the Moment of Truth tour.
Oh my goodness!
I know.
How was her voice?
I mean, I do remember. I went with my mom and my aunts and my cousins. I had these girl cousins growing up who were like my backup singers. My
like the
backup
Go-Go's.
dancers. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I do remember my Auntie Lane. She had tears in her eyes when Whitney was singing, and I thought, God, she must be good. Because I was so young.
Yeah.
I also remember Kenny G opening and being like, all right.
Yeah.
Let's speed through this. But my parents let me buy every record I wanted. And, I mean, I came home from school at 16. You'll love this. Came home from school, 16, depressed. I'd come out of the closet. It was hard.
Right.
And I came home, and sitting on my bed one day after school was the Sex Book and the Erotica album.
Oh,
my father
my
had bought them
God.
for me.
And you're only child?
No, I have 2 younger brothers.
Oh my
I
God!
still have my
Don't
sex
tell
book.
them, but
You
yes.
still have it?
What?
You still have it?
Of course I still have it.
Same.
Yeah.
Still have
What
mine.
a great parent! Now
Yeah.
that's what a great
Yeah.
parent is.
And then we looked at it on the couch together, by the way.
As
And
a
I remember when
family.
my mother, father, me, and my mom's friend Lynn, and we were flipping through the pictures, and when we got to the photos from the Gaiety,
Yes.
and that guy's bent over, you can see everything.
Yes.
He was like
Yeah.
asshole. And my mother goes, Jesus, he's hung like a Great Dane.
I love it.
I know.
Oh my God!
I know.
I love
So
that.
lucky,
And what
but-
about the butt munching scene? Did you?
I remember clearly seeing that picture and not really getting what was happening at
Yes.
the time at 16. Plus, that's not really what butt munching looks like.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
pretty butt munching.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
exactly.
maybe she dropped something.
Right, exactly. She's just looking. She's
Right.
checking to see if it's,
Yeah.
it's in Tony's
Yeah.
cavity.
I'll
Yes.
look at anything in Tony Ward.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
I
too.
just saw him recently in a campaign for
still
All Saints.
And-
He's gorgeous.
I mean,
still gorgeous.
He could get it 10
Yeah.
ways
Well,
from
he looks
Sunday.
like a Greek god. He
Yeah.
has that Greek
does.
look to him, like
Yeah.
a Greek statue.
Yeah,
He's-
we're talking Tony Ward for people out there. Listen, David, we could talk forever.
Yes, we
I
could.
just love you so much.
Oh,
so
God,
we're
really?
going to have to. He and I went to Paula Abdul together.
Oh, of course you did.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was so much fun.
It was amazing. And I gotta say, you see these other pop star girls out there with their choreographed numbers and their listless dance moves. And then you see, an Emmy Award winning, Academy Award nominated, I want to say, choreographer like Paula Abdul delivering her 6 number-1 hit singles. And you're like, these younger girls, they have got to step up their game.
Yeah.
Paula Abdul was dancing her ass off on that stage
Yep.
like it was 1989.
At
Yeah.
50
53.
There you go.
53
Yeah.
years old. And I mean, new number, new choreography,
Yep.
new staging, amazing screens.
Amazing.
The screens
Yeah.
He was
were
dancing with the screens.
Yes,
I
yes,
saw
she
it.
was,
absolutely
yeah.
gorgeous. I was completely blown away. She is a massive talent.
She
I
really
love
is.
her. I
Yeah.
love her. It was great.
We had a
great
blast.
fun. Great
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Well, David Russell, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Your Twitter handle is 17 days. You have a
is.
great.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. God, we didn't even get to talk about seduction.
Darn it.
I know.
Trust me,
exactly.
we've had a lot of seduction here.
Send me the unreleased music. I need it.
Oh, you
All of
don't.
it. I absolutely
You
do.
don't, you
I
don't,
do.
you don't,
Yeah,
you
I do. You're doing the Lord's work. Thank you so
Yes.
much for having
Thank
me,
you,
guys.
darling.
Thank you.
David.
Until
Thank you.
next time. time,
you.
my love.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Thank you.
Okay, baby. Till next time.
Thank
Is
you.
that the whole thing? Or is that the whole? You want to out? Okay, yeah, okay. Well, Michelle, until next time, my dear.
Bye.
Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Amen.